Hello friends, yes, you can service your RockShox Recon air fork by yourself at home. It's simple. The most difficult thing is how many different versions of this fork there were. So as you're watching me now, disattaching the fork from the bike through the brakes, this cable for the lockout and the handset, I'm going to show you how to use the serial number to actually make sure what parts you need to order, that's number one, and how to use the RockShox manual for the service. The problem is, and you will see it here, even with the serial number, the actual version of this fork might be a little different than you will see on the manual, but all the exploded views will help you to find out what you have. Step number one, very important here. Do not forget to let the air out. It's important. You don't want to have any pressure in it. This is the other side. This is the right leg with the rebound. Open it and then remove the knob. Now you're ready to clean the fork from the outer side. It's important to have clean fork before you open it up. Now, this is your serial number. This is your website where you can find what kind of fork you have and what parts you can either replace or upgrade. You need some kind of pan at this moment because the oil might drain. Now, there are two bolts right here, one on each side in each leg. After you undo the bolt, go for 3 or 4 turns and then tap it. You want to disattach the shaft from the lower leg. You do it in the same manner on both sides. It might be pretty sealed. They might be pretty glued together. Some people will hold the fork upside down and support it on the table with the crown and then tap those. Just make sure you don't damage the crown. So just try to do it first, just as I did. The more stability you have on the fork, the easier it will be for you to tap those shafts. Removing those outer springs of your dust seals is easy, and these are the foam rings. These are in really good condition. I'm gonna clean them. If you need to, replace those dust seals, you do it just like that. It's not really often that I need to replace the dust seals. These are in good conditions. The edges of those seals are really good. So it goes without saying that you wanna clean the outside and the inner side of your lower legs really well. I use degreaser for that. I don't want to have any dirt anywhere on the fork. It's so important that your table and everything is clean. So just use those wipers. These are those anti-dust or zero dust wipers. And now I'm just gonna soak those foam rings in the oil. And now I'm going to show you how to install those dust seals in case you replace them, because if you don't replace them, do not remove them, you can damage them. I'm using the suspension grease and now the tool for tapping those back into place. Make sure their edges are even with the edges of those legs. And now when the foam rings, they soak up the oil, they might seem a little bit too big. Just make sure you don't put them crooked there, they must be straight. And now I use different suspension grease for those dust seals. I want to have grease there. It will keep all the oil inside, and of course the fork will be working smoothly. Do not forget to put those springs back. If this is your 20 hours service, you are done. Now 24mm socket is for the air spring assembly, but it's difficult to use it sometimes, so the wrench, adjustable wrench, might help, at least initially. This is the top cap and the whole air spring assembly. We remove it and then you clean the leg from the outer side and from the inner side. I use degreaser. I just do it well. If you do it well, you will feel the difference in how the fork works. I can see the oil inside was a little bit dirty. My table is clean. Now I'm disassembling my air spring and it's no brainer. It's pretty simple. You can see all those seals right here. You simply degrease everything, you clean it, and then you might want to replace those O-rings. And again, very often I would just use the same O-rings. So there are just some O-rings I will use the new kit for, but it's pretty rare that I see the O-rings being worn. You might see a little bit of the black color in the oil inside the suspension, the fork, and that usually means that your O-rings should be replaced. But for 200 hours in the workshop, they will replace all those O-rings, and it's the cost between like $30 and $50-$60 for the whole kit. This is how they look like. I'm checking my new O-rings whether they are the same size, the thickness and the size. I'm putting the grease inside. This is a little tricky because this one goes to the inner side of that air spring assembly, and sometimes you might also think that it's too large, so just be very slow with it, use a pick for that. And when you keep all the parts in line in order on your table, it will be very easy for you to take the old ones and then put the new ones in. Now just remember, here you have already some pressure, so yeah, if you push on the shaft you will lose the top cap, so just bear in mind that there is air spring inside already. Yeah, and it's air sealed. Now I'm using the 5WT oil. It goes into the air assembly. So once again, just under the top cap, then the top cap goes back, and we are ready to assemble our air spring. Now the socket 24, and just at the end I'm again using the wrench. And now we're moving to the right side with the damper. Removing this collar for the lockout is pretty easy. This is how it goes. I clean it before opening, before actually getting into the inside. And this side is better for the socket. So again, 24 millimeters. And now it's better to unthread this part with the O-ring than to remove it just like I did. And now you will see the color of the oil, and it's pretty okay. So I'm happy about that. As you can see, those O-rings have been removed. Now I'm re-greasing everything, and those O-rings go back. So I'm not replacing these. It all looks really good. And the service, as you can see, is really easy. So after greasing all these parts, I'm simply cleaning the lower leg. Now there is also the O-ring right there, where I'm cleaning right now with the rag. If you don't replace that O-ring, don't remove it, because this plastic thing here is, in my opinion, just bad quality. This one here. So I know it stays there. I'm just greasing it. It's clean, and now I can put the damper back. So this is my rebound. Okay, it's in place. And then we are gonna use the oil. Now look at your fork in order to see, to make sure what kind of model you have, and then use, for this one for example, 140 milliliters of the 5WT oil. So I'm using my syringe in order to get down to 1 millimeter perfection here, and it's important for the damper to work well. Now this one goes back by itself, so you don't have to open this damper when you push it through the oil, so it's easier here. Now I'm threading that O-ring back through the thread, and once I feel I'm over the thread, I will be able to push the whole damper down. It's pretty much right now. It goes down. So new oil, new grease, everything clean. As you can see, this is pretty simple assembly. And now I'm using 24 millimeters socket to put it back. I don't want the outer parts to be too greasy. They are clean and sleek right now. And remember that this collar should be facing forward with the cable stop, just like that. And so now I'll be ready to use that little screw to tighten it up. It's only 2.5 Newton meters. And now this white dot should be placed in between the open and locked position. So this position is fine. I can now slide those lower legs back to their place, just checking how the fork works. It's really smooth. Now I'm gonna back off a little with the lower legs. You see the threads there. I want to see the gap there. There's no gap so far. I'm now backing up just like that. You see the black gap, and I'm putting I guess it was 6 milliliters of the oil on both sides, but you need to use the chart for your model. Those crush washers will be replaced now, and one bolt also, I didn't like it, so I'm going to use the new one with a crush washer. And yeah, sometimes it's a little difficult to remove the old washer, putting the new one on both bolts. And now we can assemble. If the part inside, the damper or your air spring, won't stop, you won't be able to tighten the screw, simply push on your fork a couple of times so that those shafts will be pushed against the lower legs, and then it will be easier for you to do it. You can also use the pump. When you have the air spring pumped, there will be pressure. It will be also easier. In this case, it was fine. Now I was just checking the chart for my customer's weight and PSI, so he'll have around 95 PSIs on the fork, and now it will be so smooth and ready for more hours of working. If you remove your fork, it's always good idea to re-grease the headset. So the headset was cleaned and re-greased, and now I'm just assembling the headset. This is our lockout cable. Right after assembling it, I'm checking it, so it works nice. Now let's listen to the rebound. And now the lockout. Open, locked, really good. Thanks for watching. If it was helpful, you know what to do. Bye bye.